What's going on, guys? Brandon, you're watching Unwind. Quick Rick check. I'm still wearing my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 millimeter with the green dial. Really been loving this watch since I got it. A couple videos back, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you'll see the story behind how I actually ended up getting this watch, navigating the authorized dealer for the last year and a half, where I pretty much outlined every reaction, text message, conversation, email that I had with the authorized dealer for the last year and a half, leading up until I got this watch. But there was actually something that I forgot to include, and that's that afternoon I bought this watch, I actually received a text message asking if I'd be interested in purchasing another Rolex watch. And here's what I did. I want to hear what you guys think, if I made the right call or if I should have went the other way, because there's kind of two scenarios this could play out. So again, I expressed some interest in one of the colorful dials of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and then it took me a long time to get that call. I ended up with this green dial, and then I probably picked it up around noontime. Later that afternoon, probably like 5, 6 in the afternoon, they texted me asking if I'd be interested in buying another Rolex, which was surprising to me because it took so long to offer me this first one. But it wouldn't have been for myself. It was actually a female model. It was the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 31 millimeter, so they're one of their smallest sizes, but it was a hot dial color. It was that candy pink dial color, which I actually think looks really good on the 36 millimeter. I would have picked it up if they offered me the 36, because I would have worn it myself, but 31 is just too small, you know, for most guys, especially me. But there was kind of two ways I could have went about this, and I think both ways have pros and cons. So I've heard when I've kind of been talking this over with a couple people. So they asked me, do you want this watch for your wife? And I went the lines of telling them the truth, that my wife's not super into watches. If it was 36 millimeter, then I probably would have picked it up. I said, you know, no, thank you. So I turned down a watch, which I know a lot of you guys say you shouldn't really do if you're trying to navigate the Rolex ADs. You don't want to turn anything down that they offer you. And I wouldn't have turned down a male model if it was something I was actually interested in and would have wore. But I had no desire of buying this watch, so I turned it down. And did I do the right thing, tell them the truth that I didn't want this watch, or did this hurt my chances of getting a call in the future? Because the other thing I could have done here is I could have bought this watch and sold it, and it would have been a pretty I would have made a lot of money if I did that. This watch sells for $5,100 retail price, but if we're looking on Chrono 24 right now, it's almost going for $9,500, almost $10,000. So you could sell it for $9,000 all day long. So I essentially spent basically $6,000 on this watch. Later that same day, I could have said, yeah, I'll take this watch, and flipped it immediately the next morning for $3,000, essentially getting, you know, my watch for half off, which is deal of the century. But I didn't go that way. If I went that way, then they probably would have been happy, like, hey, when we call this kid, he comes through right away and he buys watches. Because when I bought this one, I was there in 5 minutes, bought it no problem. And, you know, I think it's probably a good thing if they call you, you buy watches. But I think that would have, you know, hurt me if they found out if I sold it, and that's not what I'm about. I tell you guys, I'm not about, you know, flipping watches. I don't like watch flippers like you guys don't like them, so I didn't go that route. It's not something I want to do, and it's not worth it for me, $3,000 to hurt my relationship with the AD, because I spent, you know, a year and a half building my relationship with the AD. Now, you know, I have a solid Rolex purchase history. I don't want to hurt my relationship with the AD, so I didn't buy this watch and flip it, but I could have. That's easy money. And some people said, you know, oh yeah, you should have done it. They wouldn't have found out, and then that would have put you higher on their list for calls in the future, because you have a bigger spend history now. I would have basically doubled my spend history that I have with Rolex. But for me, it's just not worth risking losing my relationship with the AD. I went, you know, I'm a truthful guy. I went the way of telling the truth. I'm not interested in this watch, and hopefully it doesn't hurt me not picking up this watch, telling them no thank you, because it's not a watch that I in any way showed any sort of interest in. I told them, hey, I don't know what I want from my next watch. I gave them a kind of big list. I told them I'd pick up an Oyster Perpetual in another color. I'd like to own them all of the 4 colors if I could, because I think that'd be really, really cool. You know, I'm 1/4 of the way there, but that's probably not going to happen, probably especially not that Tiffany dial. Well, I would pick up a Milgauss, an Air King, because I like both those models. But even more than that, I'm really interested in a Submariner, any of the 3 stainless steel models, a stainless steel GMT Master, or of course a stainless steel Daytona in either colorway. I gave them that list of watches. I said, hey, I want to give you a kind of a big list, because I know it can take a while, but please keep me in mind for any of these watches, and I'll buy them the second that you get them, because I was pretty picky about what I wanted my first Rolex to be. I really wanted a time only dial, because I was offered a Datejust a couple of times. When I was in Hawaii, I was offered a Yachtmaster, but that's not what I wanted at the time, so I didn't get it, and it worked out for me the first time. So hopefully, you know, it works out again. If I'm not interested in a watch, I'm not going to get it. But if you do have the watches that I'm interested in, I'll buy them right away. But I'm not going to buy something I don't want, even though I could have made a quick buck. But that's kind of the 2 ways that this could go. I think both ways could have helped me, because it would have been good to build a purchase history, but then it would have hurt me if I sold it and they found out, and it obviously would have helped my bank account too. But turning it down, telling them the truth, they know I'm not a flipper, because if I was, yeah, I'd be spending more money with you. I would have built up my kind of record with them of how much I've spent in store, so they'll probably put me to the front of the line in front of other people who haven't spent as much. But they know now that I'm a pretty safe guy to go with. If they get me a watch, I'm not going to flip it, because I easily could have right here, because it was a hot model. So that's kind of what I decided to do. But make sure to let me know down below, guys, what you would have done, because I really want to hear from you guys and see kind of your take on it. That's not going to impact how I navigate this in the future. I do the same thing again. I'm not going to flip watches, because for me, it's not worth ruining that connection that I have. But I just kind of want to hear what you guys would do, and if you think it helped me more or if it hurt me. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video.